Friends, I urge you to call this number and order your own book. And the name of the book is The Great Controversy. Notice, The Great Controversy. And by the grace of God, you're going to become a better Christian. You're not going to fall to this Christianity that has become like a coffee and milk shake together, because the man of sin infiltrating the churches and they destroying doctrines when it comes to Sunday churches. The phone number here is 856-503-5893. One more time, 856-503-5893. Friends, also, if God is touching your heart to support God's faithful ministry so that we can speed up this gospel to a lot of people so that they can hear what you are hearing, because heaven is ceaseless ages. Says Jesus, I must do the work of the one who sent me while it is the day. The night is coming, no one can work, friends. The night is at hand. Let's work more earnestly now. Christ is coming. We only one step away from heaven.
Benedict XVI heads to the U.S. this coming week for his first visit here since being elected Pope 3 years ago. He'll be spending a total of 5 days in Washington, D.C. and New York. The Vatican released a video message from Benedict urging Americans to pray for the trip. Benedict arrives in Washington Tuesday. The next day, he'll have a private meeting with President Bush at the White House, where the war in Iraq is expected to be high on the agenda. On Friday, Benedict travels to New York, where he will address the United Nations General Assembly. The UN event was his original reason for coming to the U.S., and many experts believe that speech could be the most important of his trip. Kim Lawton takes a look at the unique role the Pope and the Vatican play on the world stage.
Soviet leader Joseph Stalin was once questioned about the influence of the Vatican. Stalin is famously said to have replied, "The Pope, how many divisions has he got?" The answer, as it turns out, is more than Stalin and many others might have guessed. Experts say the Pope and the Vatican wield considerable global influence.
They don't have economic engines they have to feed. They don't have armies. They don't have land. The Vatican is only 106 acres. It's the smallest nation state in the world, but it is a huge moral, spiritual superpower.
In questo momento,
as the Bishop of Rome, Pope Benedict XVI is a spiritual head of the Roman Catholic Church worldwide. But he also wears another hat, head of state for the independent territory of Vatican City and the Catholic Church's government, called the Holy See.
It's the tension between those two roles that actually gives him a resilience on the international stage, that he doesn't just speak for a geopolitical unit, but also for a demographic within the world.
The Holy See has played an active global role for centuries. It has permanent observer status at the United Nations and has all the rights of full UN membership. The Holy See has formal diplomatic relations with 177 countries around the world, including the U.S. Ambassadors, called apostolic nuncios, represent the Holy See from embassies like this one in Washington, D.C. The U.S. has sent an ambassador to the Holy See since 1984. The current U.S. ambassador at the Vatican is Harvard law professor Marianne Glendon, who took up her post in February. James Nicholson held the position from 2001 to 2005.
I always said I practiced moral diplomacy.
During the more than 25 years of his pontificate, John Paul II dramatically raised the profile of the papacy on the international level and played a key role on many fronts, such as helping to bring down communism in Eastern Europe. Throughout his extensive travels, he was a vigorous global voice. Benedict has continued that advocacy, which experts say reflects foundational Catholic beliefs. But times have changed since John Paul became Pope.
We don't have the Soviet Union anymore. What we have is the problems in the Middle East, which is where Pope Benedict has been directing his attention.
The personalities have also changed.
Whereas John Paul, if you look at the entire pontificate, was very much outwardly oriented toward the church and the world.
During a visit to Turkey, Benedict made a high-profile visit to a mosque.
On the one hand, a great deal of setback and dialogue certainly occurred. On the other hand, after the initial setback, a number of moderate Muslim scholars actually wrote to the Pope, 138 of them, and said, Well, we have some differences clearly, but now that they're highlighted, maybe we should engage in a dialogue. And so a process of dialogue has begun.
But Benedict again generated controversy in the Islamic world on the Saturday before Easter, when he baptized a prominent Muslim journalist at a service in St. Peter's Basilica.
It could have occurred anywhere. The parish priest could have done it very quietly, discreetly. But I think the Pope chose to do it himself.
The Iraq War has been another foreign policy challenge, beginning with John Paul's papacy. He's also been quietly working to establish relations, something that was not possible during the last papacy, largely because of John Paul's role in the fall of communism in Poland.
The Chinese obviously didn't want John Paul II running around China doing the same thing.
Most of the time, in places around the world, Vatican diplomats work outside the spotlight, where experts say they often have an advantage. Some question how much government leaders of today truly listen to what the Pope has to say. And that, observers say, is a moral authority that can't be measured by economic strength or military divisions. A moral authority Benedict hopes to draw upon when meeting with U.S. officials and speaking before the United Nations. I'm Kim Lawton in Washington.
Friends, a lot of good Christians in Roman Catholic Church, notice Catholic Church, but unfortunate because they don't understand the history of their church. This is the pagans that during dark ages, Constantine was the one who united his own people, them pagans, to Catholic Church. And when they unite in the church, because, there was statue worshippers, idols. So when they brought their idols, notice statues in Roman Catholic Church, they began to name them. Instead of Jupiter, they call it Peter. And it's so sad that they give them a lot of Christian names. And they bow down, sometimes they kiss, they worship. But to change the name, that doesn't mean the idol is changed. Friends, so when they take leadership in the church during dark ages, they change rules in the church. And they come up with a lot of traditions because they can't go by Bible rules. Because like I said, there was pagans. According to Ten Commandments, you don't have to bow down images and statues. If you look Roman Catholic Church, the 10 commandment, the second commandment that talks about images, they remove that. And then the 10th commandment, they split in two. Notice, and then they put one in the second one. There's a lot of things that they did. And one of them that they also did, they persecute a lot of Christians that they protest against their paganism and their traditions. Protestants, Sunday churches, they persecute them, a lot of them. So that's why their forefathers, they ran from persecution and they came to United States and they find free land. So now we're going to go to Revelation chapter 13 and you're going to learn a beautiful Bible prophecy that you probably never heard it before. Revelation chapter 13 has two beasts. Notice, the first beast is Roman Catholic Church, and then the second beast is United States. In verse 11 and 18, they unite with Roman Catholic Church. Let's find out who gave the power to Roman Catholic Church. Notice Revelation chapter 13 verse 4 says, so they worship the dragon who gave authority to the beast, and they worship the beast, saying, who's like the beast, who is able to make war with him. Friends, according to Revelation chapter 13, we know that the dragon gave the authority, the power to this beast. And according to Revelation chapter 12 verse 9, the Bible helps us to understand that the dragon is the old serpent called the devil and Satan. Notice what it says in verse 11 and 12. Notice the same chapter, Revelation chapter 13. Then I saw another beast coming out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and spoke like dragon. And he exercised all the authority from the first beast in his presence, and caused the earth and those who dwell in it to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed.